Actually, that's spot on.
It is spot on.
All the competition that try to compete.
Everything is spot on.
Tyson Fury got the best of Deontay Wilder in the third fight in the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division is hot. We just came off of a legendary fight. What is y'all's reaction to Tyson Fury winning the third fight in the trilogy? I'll start with you, Mia.
I think a lot of people banked on this particular outcome. And what I mean by that is a lot of people felt like Tyson Fury was just a better fighter in this fight. And so they saw it going that way. I think Deontay Wilder had a lot of opportunities to be a better fighter in this fight. We just didn't see him attack the body the way he should. He kind of wanted to go for a knockout automatically. And that's just not the way you want to handle somebody like Tyson Fury. You have to be a little more strategic. He had, I believe, one or two knockdowns, and he just wasn't able to capitalize from those moments. Fury just pretty much dominated that whole fight for me, and I think I expected it to kind of go that way. Was hoping for Wilder to come out and perform a lot better than he did, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, but y'all believe me if I told y'all that I knew Fury was going to win this fight, clearly because of what I saw in the second match that they had, I want to say a year or two ago. Wilder couldn't beat him then, both unorthodox fighters, but just given the fact of how Fury was able to take Wilder's hits, and the beating Wilder was as simple as the message that he said was that it only takes one punch when this is boxing. And it doesn't really only take one punch. And now he's noticing while he knocks Fury down twice, Fury gets back up. I knew after the first time he knocked him, I said, that's not enough. The second time I was like, okay, all right. But I still said, that's not enough. And then Wilder isn't built for the long game of boxing. Now, I'm not a boxing savant, so I'm not going to sit here and talk like I am one. But I can tell who has your number when they have your number, right? And Fury has Wilder's number. They can sit him by 6 times if they want to. I guarantee you Wilder's probably only going to win one of those. So it's just a matchup. He's heavier. He came in at Fury came in at 277. Wilder came in, I believe, at 244, which is 20 or so pounds heavier than the way he was used to fighting with. And so the biggest question is, how do you know that you can fling all of this new weight that you have on around in the ring? And I could tell after the first couple of rounds that Wilder did not knock out Fury. I said, it's over. And I really said that. I was sitting at a backyard party. I really said it was over because it's a long game at this point, and because Wilder didn't get the job done. Now, Jamar, I know you're looking at me like, what are you, crazy? He didn't get the job done when he had the chance. Advantage Fury. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, kind of back doing off that, I honestly felt like Wilder couldn't or would not last as long as he did, honestly. And I'm surprised he even lasted that long in the fight. But not much really knowing about fighting. I just know that after looking at the fight, just seeing how the fight was going, it definitely looked like Fury had Wilder's number for sure. And the fight was over about maybe the 5th, 6th round. And he put up a good fight, but the longer it was going on, the more you could see like Fury definitely had Wilder's number.
Okay, let me say this as I'm not going to say the most boxing knowledge, but somebody who watches boxing very intensely. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury had one of the greatest heavyweight fights in the last decade.
I love the fight, yes.
And one of the greatest fights I've ever seen with my eyes. And one thing about fighting and boxing is sometimes it's not who's the best boxer, but it's styles make fights. And in this particular fight, Deontay Wilder's style was never going to be better than Tyson Fury, only on select days. Tyson Fury could lose to Deontay Wilder on any given night, but 80% of the time, Tyson Fury is going to win. But one thing I want to point out, though, with this narrative that's going on in this show particularly is Deontay Wilder showed something to all of us that he's never showed to us in his entire career. And he came out there with a strategy that I'm not just going to win with this right hand. Deontay Wilder implemented a jab that he hasn't done in his whole career and was winning the fight for the first 3-4 rounds. Let's not forget, he was if we're being real, he was winning the fight in the first 3 to 4 rounds. We could have never expected that. I'm not going to say he was outboxing Tyson Fury, but to the 4th round, he was winning the fight. And more than anything, Deontay Wilder showed a sense of hunger and not giving up. Deontay Wilder going out of last time they fought in the 2nd round, he got a new trainer because they threw in the flag. They threw in the towel after the fight because they thought he was getting, because he was done in the 2nd fight. But one could also say it looked like Deontay Wilder was done in that last fight we just watched, and he came back up and knocked down Tyson Fury. This is why this is one of the greatest fights I've ever seen, because Deontay Wilder, at every moment he looked like it was over, he had that look in his eyes, he got back up, and that right hand came again, and Tyson Fury's on the floor. And I think it was just a great fight. We're probably never going to see them fight again. I think Tyson Fury is the greatest boxer in this generation. But I think Deontay Wilder is number 2. And I think Deontay Wilder is a great fighter that will always be number 2 to Tyson Fury in this generation. But let's not get it twisted. If he was in any generation, people will be saying, would anybody be able to beat Deontay Wilder's right hand? And it just so happens he was born in the same generation as Tyson Fury. I do think he'll be Anthony Joshua if that ever happens to be. But we have an interesting heavyweight division. But I don't want the narrative of Deontay Wilder to go away because Tyson Fury is just that great of a boxer.
So I love the take, Mark. The problem is that you mentioned Wilder being able to go the distance with Tyson Fury. First of all, it's the 3rd match in which they tied once, in which I feel like Fury won.
Tyson Fury won the first one. He won the first one.
Okay, they tied that one, and then Wilder actually lost the 2nd one. Then we go to the 3rd one, and I'm going to use a full-out analogy because I know I'm good for that because I'm better on that side. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, as it would be hard to fight the same person 3 times in a row. So given the fact that they tied the first time, you lost the first one, of course you're going to go the distance. You don't want to lose again. So we can't give him the breadcrumbs or cookies for saying, yes, congratulations, you lasted 11, 12 rounds. You lost the fight in a fight in which you really lost rounds ago. The only thing is Fury isn't built to be a boxer with a finishing move. He's just built to outlast you. So that's how I gotta say about that.
Tony, you brought up a great point earlier when you brought up the difference in weight. And I think in this fight, we saw Tyson Fury lean on Deontay Wilder a lot.
He did. He leaned on him a lot.
That affected Deontay Wilder's ability to come back. And I think around round 3 or 4, he looked gassed. That's just what that was. So yeah, he was able to still stand on his feet, in the later rounds. But at the end of the day, he was tired before he got knocked out.
And another thing I will say, go back and watch the fight. When Tyson Fury went down, it was an extremely long count. That's all I'll say. I give Tyson Fury all his credit. Go back and watch the fight. Legendary fight. We can't be mad either way. It was a great fight. We got our money's worth. But y'all tell us what y'all think in the comment section. What did y'all think about this legendary fight? Will this fight happen again? Do you think Deontay Wilder deserves more credit? In my opinion, he does. But Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. We'll see y'all next time. SOS Discussions.
We thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to check out more shows here on this YouTube page, such as SOS Discussions or My Point Exactly. And most of all,
keep watching Spot On Sports!
It's a new wave of sports that's sweeping the nation. We're not just accurate, it's spot on.